Number of children when you are applying for the DV lottery. This is very important to people to know who are considered as children or a child when you are going to apply for the DV lottery. And one of the things which I tell people over and over when they are applying, there is a mistake people are doing. Either they include the wrong people, assuming that they are children, or another problem is you don't include in the application. Partly you do not know what will be the effect for not including them, and sometimes is you don't include them because maybe you didn't know about the DV lottery, you didn't know about the regulations, and maybe it's the last day of applying, and maybe you're in another country or you're in another city, you are another country, and how are you going to get the photo from your children, and the photo must meet the requirements. So that has been a very big problem, and I've seen many people, they are winning the DV lottery, they are not going to be given the visa, either they're going to be denied the visa, or they have to continue lying to say they don't have children so that they can come to America. So the family is going to be split apart because of either lying or failure to know the regulations. So I'm going to make sure that you avoid all those kind of mistakes when you are going to fill the form, the DV lottery. Welcome everyone, this is EBM Ernest Boniface Makulilo from the EBM Scholars, talking to you from my home office here in Belton, Missouri, United States of America. So, how many kids, first of all, are you allowed to include? Because some people, they have so many kids. Myself, I'm number 11 out of 13 children. Assume back in the time, my parents wants to apply for the DV lottery. Are they allowed to include all 13 children in the DV lottery? Or what is the maximum number of applying to include your children, and who are considered as children, and what age, what marital status of your children are allowed to be included? That is something to know, all those kind of things. So this video is full packed with all this kind of information so that you can avoid any unnecessary mistake which can cost you big time when you win and you make a little mistake to cause you either to be separated from your children or completely denied the visa, along with even other possible opportunities you had before coming to the United States of America through the immigration or the immigrant visa or the DV lottery in particular. So there are three types of children. Let us start with that one, and then we can come with the number and all other things. So in order to apply, question number, there is one of the question in the form, number 15, they will tell you, write the number of children. If you don't have a child, you put 0. You continue. The form will not, if you go to the second page, the form will not have number of children. If you put, you have a child, you put 1, the form, when you go to the next page, it will give you 1 spot to add a child. If you put 5, it gives you 5 areas you can add children. And by adding children, you don't add John, Hamisi, Jane, whatever. No. Each child, this is the name, date of birth, gender, city or town of birth, country of birth, all this kind of information. And their photo. The photo is not a group photo of 5 children you have. Individual photo, just like your photo, which has to meet all the green card requirements with wet background, the size, the weight of the photo not exceeding 240 kilobytes. All those kind of things has to be included. So for each child you are having. So, and even if you are not planning to come with those children, just put those children in the application. So for that case, if you have 1 child, 2 kids, 3, 4, 5, make sure that you have individual photo of each child before you go to apply. So these are the categories of children to be included in the application. Number 1, we are calling the natural children, the living, not the dead, the one who are still alive. The living natural children, biological children. So if you have biological children, you are children. It doesn't matter whether the mother of your child or the father of your child, you live together. They don't care whether you are married at the time, whatever you have children. What they want, this is my child. If you are a single mother, you are a single father, or the child lives with the mother, but you didn't get married, that is your child. You have to include that child in your application. Whether you live with that child, whether you don't live with that child, as long that is your child, you have to include that child. You can ask a question. So if I'm the father, I don't live with that child, I will apply and I'm going to put that child in my application. The mother is going to apply on her own. Will the mother allow you also to include that child? Yes, the mother is allowed to include that child. As I said, there is no requirement, there is no regulation that because you have a child, you must include the name of the father of the child or the name of the mother of the child. No, I have a child, this is the child, this is the name, date of birth. They don't care who is the mother, who is the father. As long as this is my child, as my father who is applying, I'll put the information of my child. They don't care about the name or the information, the photo of the mother. If you say, the mother is applying and say, this is my son, this is my daughter, put the information of your daughter, not in the information of the father. What is the photo? Do you live with the father? They don't care about that information. Let's end that way. The second part is legally adopted children. So, remember, the term is legally, legal. There are so many things in our cultures. Maybe your brother, your sister, your grandfather, whatever, your friend passed away, or whatever reason, the child was having certain situation, you have been helping with school fees, cost of living, whatever is living with your house. That is not your child. Unless otherwise you went to the court of law and do the paperwork to get the legal adoption. Out of that, don't include that child. No matter whether the child you have been living with that child since the child was born, because maybe the mother maybe had a teen pregnancy and you're still living with that child, is not your child. Unless otherwise you have a legal adoption by the court. If it's not a legal adoption, don't include that person. It's not your child. Another part is stepchildren, the one who still alive. So this is very interesting. Remember, when we are talking about the children, legally adopted, stepchildren, remember, these children must be under the age of 21 and unmarried. I will explain about that one. So, stepchildren, let's say I'm single. I'm going to get married to a woman who has a child, 2 children. So for that case, when I'm applying, I'm going to include the number of children. I will include the children I'm having with that woman and the stepchildren, the children of that woman. I'm going to include them. Does that make sense? And the mother, the father of that child, even if he's not married now, is living with another person, that person, when he's going to apply, is allowed to include his biological children who now are your stepchildren. It's very confusing. But that is how it is. Because the other person that is biological is allowed to include them, even if he doesn't live with them. But the children live with you and your stepfather, you will include it. Your stepmother, you are going to include them. As long as the children who are married or who are above the age of 21 are not allowed to be included in the application. Listen very careful. If you are biological children, if you are legally adopted children or stepchildren, maybe they are 17, they are 18, 19, 20, whatever, they are married, they are not allowed to be included in the application. Or if they are under they're above the age of 21, you are not allowed to include them in the application. Because if you include any child above the age of 21, the application will not allow you to continue. And don't lie the age, because some people have seen someone lied the age and the birth certificate says something different. The passport says something different. So the person decided to change the age so that it can go through. Yes, went through and you won. Appearing to the US Embassy was denied because he was a fraud. He lied during the DV lottery application. You change the age only purposely so that the application can go through. Because if the age is going above, the application is automatically tell this child, the date of birth is wrong because it makes calculation above the age of 21. So, but if your child is a US citizen, maybe you are here in the US, your child is born in the US, so is a US citizen, back you live in Africa or in Asia, you don't need to include that child in the application because it's already in US. Is a US citizen or is a green card holder. So you are not required to, because they are not required to be issued the DV lottery visa, because they are either green card already or they are permanent, they are already a US citizen. So either you include that child in the application or you don't include that child in the application, you are not going to be penalized for that. So it's up to you. But what is the impact? What is the punishment if you include a child who is not yours? You assume this is my adopted child, but you don't have legal adoption, or for sure you are going to include the child of your girlfriend. You are not married. Remember, it's your girlfriend. Even if you are engaged, it's not your wife. To list someone else who is not your child, or to include someone who is not eligible, you are going to be disqualified. And all other visas, either you are a tourist visa or any other visa, they will be cancelled. They will be completely revoked. Instruction number 15 of the DV lottery application instruction. Failure to list all children. Remember, failure to list all children who are eligible means if you have children under the age of 21 unmarried and maybe you have 5, you enter 3. They come to realize you have 5 children and all they are qualified. Or you are going to include the children who are not yours. So failure to list all your children who are eligible, or listing someone else who is not your child, will result into the disqualification of the principal applicant and the refusal of all visa applications in the case of the time of the interview. So sometimes maybe you are pending visa for tourists or pending visa for education as F1 student or exchange visitor. They are going to also revoke all other visas because of this one. So make sure that you put your children who are eligible. You have 5 who are eligible under the age of 21, unmarried, who are your biological or stepchildren. Stepchildren, not the children of your girlfriend, not the children of your engaged girlfriend or your boyfriend. No, the children of your wife or your husband, your spouse, or the children who are legally adopted. Legal adoption must go through the court of law. Not the traditional, I talked to their parents, they allowed me to stay with this child, I've lived with this child for 5 years or 10 years, this child only knows me, the mother of this child died while the child was born. They don't care all those kind of things. That is not your child, unless otherwise it's a legal adoption. So make sure you are going to follow these regulations. So if you don't put that child, it will cost you. So make sure you get many people, they don't apply because they assume it's not a big deal, I'll come to add when I win. No. You have to add it during the application. Majority of people, especially those who are applying, who are not in their cities, who are not in their countries, or who have problem with their maybe with the other significant other. Maybe you are not married, but you don't have a good relationship. You don't get the photo of your spouse, child. I mean, your ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, child. You don't get the photo. You end up say you are single. You don't have children. That is it. You are going to be in trouble. So make sure that you get the photo as soon as possible, because this one will help you whether to come with a child. Even if you don't come with a child, but still you have to include into the application. So that, I think, it will be able to help you to understand what does that mean when you talk about the children. So whether you have 10 children, whether you have 50 children, there is no limitation the number of children you have, as long as those children are yours. Even if those children, they have 10 different mothers, they don't care. As long as you can prove that you are the father of those children or you are the mother of those children, they don't care. Whether those children, they have the same father, different fathers, they don't care about that. Whether the children you are coming from, they don't care about that one. So make sure that you know the principles. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow the principles of DV lottery application. All the best, everyone.